guys! I hope that my voice is super clear and that you can kind of hear me, kind of hear the music. The music is very low, so if you can't hear it, it's fine. That's just normal. So I'm gonna be... Hi guys! So yeah, I am going to be coloring this ocean mermaid in this episode. Well, is it an episode? I guess it's an occurrence, like a weekly occurrence. But yeah, I'm sorry I have my phone like almost in front of me. But that's the like best position for the phone to be, so that I can actually, you know, get the mermaid properly. So yeah, so I'm gonna be starting. I'm just gonna quickly leave another message on my Patreon board so that people know that I'm going live. I hope that you guys had a nice weekend, and also just, yeah, let me know if I'm like talking and you can't hear me. That would be bad. So if you can hear me, just let me know, like, yes, I can hear you. You're very clear, that's fine. Cool. So yeah, welcome, and I hope that everything is going smoothly for you today. Here's my ocean mermaid. I hope it's well focused and the camera is working okay. So the ocean mermaid was kind of like, it came from this kind of board where, you know, we have the ocean obviously, and the beautiful blue hair, and the fish with the pink sort of fins, and like colorful marine and ocean flowers, and like coral and stuff like that. So my idea was to have this ocean mermaid as like super duper like bright and colorful, and I just did this sketch and line art today. So I just noticed that the mouth is a little bit like out of balance. There you go. That's better. Yeah, I just noticed that the mouth was like a little bit wrong. So I don't know if you noticed as well that the mouth, she's got like the Kate Winslet kind of mouth, where, you know, she has the... I think Kate Winslet has like the most beautiful mouth I have ever seen of an actress. Like, it's super defined and like just got like a really weird shape, but like really alluring, I think. And also she's got a little mole there. So yeah. And if you were wondering about the reason why she's got the Kate Winslet mouth, is because she's the ocean mermaid, and, you know, Kate Winslet in Titanic, she's got the heart of the ocean, like the jewel. So that's like a double like inner reference. But there you go. Right, so I'm just gonna start by creating an outline, like a silhouette underneath the character, with the skin tone taken from this reference. And of course I have my own reference here from last week's Mermaid, so I'm gonna try and keep it as similar as possible in terms of style to this mermaid, so that I know that all of my mermaids in this series are kind of similar, and, you know, that's what you want when you're making a bigger piece. So I'm using the lasso tool to just create a big outline for the character. And the reason why I do this is that that way I can just create like a big sort of very precise outline at the start. And first I can check that the silhouette works, and you know, the silhouette is basically the shape of the character that you're drawing, and if it works mean if the silhouette has a shape that is easy to read. That's like super important, because otherwise people don't really understand what's going on in your picture, and that would be bad. So the reason why I do this kind of very quick outline at the start is that I have a readable shape, or you know, if it's not readable, I can just quickly see if it isn't, and you know, change it before I get in too deep. And second is because I can then use this basic outline as a way to create more layers on top as clipping masks, and then I don't have to worry about going outside of the lines when I color. So there you go. I have my very basic outline. Of course, it's not very precise, but I'm just gonna quickly clean it up further. And for example, by selecting the Studio Pen brush, which is my brush of choice when I have to make something that is kind of more precise than dry ink, because dry ink is a texture brush, so it's good for line art and coloring, but if you have to do something in a very precise, sort of accurate manner, I prefer to use this one, which is the Studio Pen. I'm just quickly gonna erase the areas of the outline where, you know, I don't need it, like here as well, here. Here at the end of detail. I feel like whenever I talk about painting, I feel like a lot of painting is actually due with erasing rather than actual painting. That's because the way that you paint, right, is that you put down some color, but then it's easier to put down color in a way that is not that accurate, and just do it so that you can see how the colors work together, and you know, you can just get a general idea of how the whole figure, you know, is working together, and then you can just erase some of it. So really, when you come to try and improve a sketch or, you know, or a painting, it's more to do with the details that you delete and the ones you keep, rather than just doing it all perfect, you know, the first time that you lay it down. So like, in a way, I don't know if you ever heard the saying, it's pretty famous saying in creative writing, which is that writing is rewriting. It's a pretty common sentence that you hear, because of course it means that, you know, you won't get something right the first time, so you're gonna have to go over it and over it and over it, and then in the end you're gonna get it right. It's kind of the same with painting and coloring, like coloring is erasing kind of thing. So yeah, so I have erased all the areas that were going out of the lines, so now I'm gonna select the Studio Pen also as a brush, and I'm gonna color in the areas. Whoa, that's way too big. I'm gonna color in some of these areas that I wrongfully erased. I'm sorry if I'm yawning a little bit. It's mostly because it's 10, like 15 past 10 right now for me, so I am a little bit sleepy. Not that I did much today. I had a pretty lazy day. I just ate, basically, a lot. And that was my day. So, yeah. Oh, I forgot one bit here that had to be erased. Right. Oh, this one as well. So here we have the division between the hair and the tail. Right, and maybe here too. Even though I didn't draw it, I feel like here there should be a division. Maybe that's too big though. So I'm gonna quickly just modify my line art. There you go. So here again, I'm gonna just take this. Oh, wrong brush. And again, I'm gonna add a little bit of line art here. There you go. Right. Okay. So the reason why I do this again is because this way I can see, you know, I have my basic silhouette and everything has been filled in properly, like here as well. And I can see whether the shape itself works and whether, like, for example, here I have like a little bit that I have ignored. There you go. The reason why I want to make sure that I have this bit like here, for example, where you can see here this little triangle between the crook of the elbow and the hair, I want to have it without any color, like there's just gonna be light coming through. And that's because by creating these little holes in the silhouette, you can really kind of improve the readability of your character. So the readability is basically how a person, like a viewer that is gonna see your, you know, drawing, your character, whatever, the way that they are going to immediately understand what's going on. And you can help them understanding what's going on by creating a silhouette that is clear. And a clear silhouette is also when you know, you can see the arms sort of like coming out of the main shape of the body, so you can identify quickly, okay, that's the torso, that's the body, that's, you know, the arms coming out. So the important thing is that you add these little bits and pieces where, you know, you have nothing, you know, like where the absence of mass and the absence of color helps you understand what's going on within the silhouette. So there you go. I think now I have that here. So I have this little bit here of nothing that helps us understand where, you know, where the tail ends and where the hair starts. So, you know, I have hair that goes in front of the tail and in front of the fins, but you can still understand that it's hair and fins because you have these little empty spaces, you know, that help you understand where one element starts and the other element begins. So if I turn off the, you know, if I turn off the line art, I can still kind of understand, you know, that this is hair and, you know, that's an arm. Yeah, exactly. That is the white space theory. Thank you. I was like, that is precisely what I meant. Thank you, Vic Illustrations. I was looking for that word, white space. But yeah, or negative space. That's the word that I was also looking for. So the negative space here, for the hair, and the negative space around that breaks up this shape of the fin and of the tail, really helps understanding how the tail is made. So, I'm going to turn on the line art again, because in the end I am still going to keep it, but I just wanted to kind of give you an insight into my my workflow kind of thing, and my thinking when it comes to these decisions. Also, the way that I'm doing the hair here is not necessarily how I do hair in most of my drawings. I am going for an Art Nouveau kind of style for these particular pieces, like, for this lady as well. You can see that I have a general shape for the hair, and then I like to break it up by just leaving some space in between one lock of hair and another. And that's because that's a very typical Art Nouveau kind of style. If you look it up, if you don't know what Art Nouveau is, you just type in, Art Nouveau, like Nouveau, on Google, and you'll find it. It's a beautiful art style from the start of the 1900s, basically, and it's one of my favorite art styles ever. And they have a very definite style where they have very clear line art, but the hair is sort of like very flat and divided like this, with a mass of hair and then a little bit of strands of hair, like sort of like coming out to the sides. Hi Sarah, and thank you for joining. Also, yeah, I am glad that you also love Art Nouveau. It is definitely one of my biggest inspirations, especially Alfred Mucha, but also other artists from that period of time. And even just the architecture is one of my favorite. Like here in my hometown in Turin, we have a few buildings like that are from the Art Nouveau art style period, and they're so beautiful because they have this mix of neoclassical and romanticism and graphic design, because it was the start of the century, so they have a lot of graphic design and a bit of Japonism, so the influence from Japan and the West and the East. So all together is like, yeah, I mean, Vic Illustrations also says it. Who doesn't love Art Nouveau? Like, seriously. Yeah, I agree. I mean, also, I'm just looking at how much my hands are moving in the main camera, and I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm Italian. I do gesture a lot, so I'm really sorry that I keep gesturing in front of the camera. Anyway, so I am just gonna move on with coloring. So I'm gonna turn on again my references, and I am just quickly gonna create a new layer, create a clipping mask on my layer underneath, so that I can use the layer underneath as basically the basic layer. So every layer that I create now, it's not, I'm not gonna color outside of the outlines. Hi Manohar, I'm glad that you love the sketch. And so you're asking what's my coloring process in Photoshop. It's pretty much the same, really. In Photoshop, it's just different. The way, maybe the brushes that I use are kind of different. But basically sorry, I'm just reading the next question. The next thing from Vic Illustrations is someone who has picked up quite a lot of gestures from my Italian teachers. Right, relatable, yeah. But yeah, just to answer your question, my coloring process in Photoshop is very similar to my coloring process in Procreate. The only difference is that in Photoshop I use slightly different brushes, but I have similar brushes than in Procreate, so kind of texture and very rough brushes for coloring, and a kind of textury, like pencil sketch kind of brush for sketching, basically. But the process is basically the same. I usually always create a basic layer for all my clipping masks to go on, and so, you know, so that I can use this clipping mask to, even if I change, you know, even if I color on top of this, I'm just gonna color on the actual, you know, on the actual layer, and nothing is gonna go outside of it. I feel like this is a very quick way of getting the flat coloring out of the way. So I usually always do this. The only difference might be that in most of my other style kind of paintings, I don't use the outline quite as much. So I usually paint on top of the outline, on a different layer, but on top of the outline, so that then I don't need the outline. I can just delete it and keep the coloring layers, and that's all. Of course, it also depends whether it's like a more sketchy style, but yeah. In this particular style, I am keeping the line art, so that's a little bit of a cheat, because I can just use the line art and keep it on, and that makes it a lot more quick to fill in the layer underneath, because the line art is already done, and so I don't have to be very accurate, as you can see with my flat coloring. Also, if I want to just delete an area that I don't like on any layer, I can just go on the basic layer and delete it there, and everything else will be deleted, even in this layer, as you can see here. Of course, I didn't want to do that, so I'm just gonna go back by tapping on the screen with 2 fingers. So as I was saying before, like, this mermaid is the ocean mermaid. So she's supposed to be the guardian, like, you know, the defender of the ocean. And so she has taken upon herself to be, you know, incredibly boisterous, because I feel like the ocean is, you know, the biggest body of water on the planet, so she's gonna be pretty self-centered and loud. Also because the colors in, you know, in the ocean, in the in the coral reef, for example, are very colorful, so I wanted her to be super colorful. And as Vic Illustrations was saying, that she likes, or he likes, or they likes, the blue-pink combo. I also like the blue-pink combo, it's one of my favorite. So yeah, I predict that this is probably also gonna be one of my favorites, like, to draw. Although, to be honest, the one that I drew last week, this one, so far it's been my favorite, and I feel like it's gonna be very hard to beat, because I just really love this teal, light pink, like salmon pink almost combination. So it's gonna be very hard to beat for me specifically. Also, thank you, Avril Ariana, for your compliments, and hi to Mexico. And Sarah, which one do I prefer most, the iPad or the tablet? I feel like it's difficult to say for me, because I do different things on my Cintiq and my iPad. So for my iPad, I'm sorry, I stopped because I heard like a noise, and it was my dog that was like scratching on the door, and I was like, spooky. But anyway, so for me, it's different what I do on my iPad and my Cintiq. So on my iPad, I usually do more like impromptu sketching and like illustrations, like stuff that is more like my own personal projects, whilst on my Cintiq I do most of my client work, because usually it's stuff that it needs to be a little more organized, and also it's usually a little bit bigger in terms of size and weight like weight of the files. So usually, even though I think you can still use the iPad as a working tool as a professional, but it does have a limit in terms of what it can process, because of its the very fact that the iPad is a tablet and it's not a computer. So I feel like if you have to work on something that is a little bit bigger, you probably need a little bit more firepower, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't know what I prefer, to be honest. Definitely I feel more comfortable probably with my iPad, but I've also done some of my best work with my Cintiq, I think. So it's a 50-50, I think. I'm undecided. Manohar says, trying to move towards a semi-realistic art style, also very used to line art because of anime style drawings. Yeah, I feel like if you start drawing using line art, and I'm sorry, I'm just gonna quickly set a new playlist, but I feel like that, yeah, if you start drawing using line art, then it's very hard to move away from line art and just figure like using shapes and color, because you start thinking with line art. For me, sketches are very rarely something that starts as just shapes. I always think in terms of line art and the sign of the pencil on the canvas. Instead, some people think in shapes and colors, and that's more of a painterly kind of approach, I think. So ultimately it is basically just what you feel more comfortable with. You're welcome, Lucia, for this video. And Vic says, I'm glad I'm not the only one whose style is so different from the iPad and on the computer. No, I mean, totally different. I was actually very surprised when so basically I bought my iPad because, it was one of my first buys, as a conscious attempt to become a better artist. But instead, my Cintiq is a hand-me-down. So my partner had one because his studio bought him one. He works as a 3D artist, so he got one basically for free. And because it's not like he didn't use it, but they needed it more probably. So he was like, yeah, you can have it, and use it as you see fit. So I got it, and the first time that I used it, I was so surprised, because I was like, yeah, I'm used to drawing on a graphic tablet, so how different can it be? And I was like, very different. Yeah, it is very, very different, actually. I wasn't used to it at all. My style was very different, actually, from the iPad to the computer, because at the end of the day, you use different brushes, and also the feeling, if you've ever tried an iPad and then a Cintiq, you probably know what I mean. Like, the feeling is super different. The iPad feels more organic, I think, and the Cintiq feels a little bit more glassy. So for me, I prefer the iPad in terms of feeling, but my Cintiq is much bigger than my iPad, so it allows me to actually sit on my Cintiq almost, like to really lay on it. So that really helps in terms of how loose I feel with my hand and how I can draw things that is less stuffy and more free kind of thing. Anyway, so I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna create a new layer so yeah, the way that I draw, and you probably know this by now if you've watched any of my tutorials or any of my other videos, but is that I create a basic layer like this one where I have the whole silhouette, and then I create each individual element on a different layer, so I can still manage all of my layers as you would with a digital drawing, in like a cartoony style, but everything is still sort of like on top of the main layer, so I don't have to worry about going outside of the line art. So I'm gonna pick a bright pink and go the tail. She's gonna be so flashy. My iPad style is very cartoony, liner, cell shading, that sort of thing, and my computer style is super realistic, lineless. Sometimes it looks like work from two different people. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily go as far as having like a very realistic style on one and, you know, cartoony on the other. Like the style is still kind of similar, but I feel like it's still quite different if you look at the specific features of the style. Also, Manohar says, oh my god, it's kind of weird feeling when you switch between Cintiq and an iPad. Yeah, it really is. Hey! Hi, Deborah! Nice seeing you here. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a nice Sunday, whether it's Sunday in your area, or it's still Monday morning, or it's Sunday afternoon or day. Like, I hope it's a good Sunday. I spent my weekend away from my hometown. I went to visit my partner's family, so that was nice. It was the first time that we have left my hometown in like 6 months, so that was pretty nice. I am glad because in Italy now you can move between regions if the regions are yellow. Like, we have a COVID kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You know how because of COVID now there's different ratios of contagion in different parts of the countries. So in Italy it's divided in colors. So the regions that are worse off with COVID are red regions, and the regions that are best are yellow or white regions. So right now my region is yellow, so it's not so bad, and my partner's family's region is yellow also, so you can move from one region to the other. So that's lovely. So we were able to go and visit them, and we haven't seen them in more than 6 months, so that was nice to see them again. I'm just kind of putting down colors right now. They're not necessarily gonna be the forever colors, like they're not necessarily gonna be the colors I'm gonna use for the whole thing. I mean, maybe I'm gonna change them, I'm not sure, but I am using them now. And the great thing about keeping everything on a different layer is that you can, you can use them and then just change at a later moment, and it's not going to be a problem if you want to change something, because you can just select that specific layer and redo it. I got a big commission to draw black and white sketch for a kind of book. It's a bundle with 7 stories from writing competition. Wow. Got to draw in 9 illustrations for the book. That's good. I mean, from the frightened face, I assume that you're kind of like, you're not sure if it's good or bad, but I guess that's good. And congratulations for you for getting the commission. And traffic light system, yeah. My city is currently in the pink-orange zone. Yeah, we were orange for a while. We've been red for like a couple of months. Also, as you can see, I'm having a little bit of a nightcap because it's Sunday night. I'm drinking like a sweet wine from the south of Italy. It's nice. It's like an after dinner kind of drink. Oh, okay. I'm glad that you're happy, Deborah. I wasn't sure. So yeah, I'm gonna do the bra as well in the same color. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this like in a very like not accurate way is that, as you can see from the previous drawings, I am then doing this kind of texturing where the tail is kind of like blending with the skin. So that's why I am just here kind of going whatever, because I'm probably gonna use some of those quick and small paint brushes to make sure that it amalgamates better with the rest of the skin. So yeah, so this is the basic color palette, and I'm just gonna do some adjustments now, which I can do directly on the layer, which is great. So for example, here I can just amend the skin color a little bit, make it a little bit more saturated and vibrant. Like this. Also make some adjustment to the hair color, same thing. Right, and then I'm gonna mix these two. I've just pixel locked the layers so that I can select an airbrush, like a much bigger and softer airbrush. Change the color here a little bit, going more towards the orangey. Like the color here of the color of the coral here, and just what? Okay, yeah, I got the wrong thing. Ooh, I like this orange with the blue hair. There you go. Okay, so I've just spread around some of the colors on this pixel locked layer so that it gives a little bit of more gradient, and now I actually like this color combination, which is very simple. It's just 3 colors, you know. It's the skin tone, which is this kind of like medium brown, and then the hair, it's blue, and then the tail is pink with an accent of orangish, so that's pretty good. Also, Eleonora Riva says, in Italian, tablet alternativi più economicamente rispetto all'iPad per cimentarsi nel disegno digitale. Non preoccuparti, va bene. So she says whether there's some tablets that are cheaper than the iPad to start doing some digital drawing. My answer is, of course, there's several tablets that are cheaper, like the Huion tablets, the X Pen. I'm sure that there's others. It's just I never tried them, so I never recommend them because I don't really know them, and I don't want to recommend something that I don't know, because obviously that would be wrong of me. So to answer the question in Italian, ciao Eleonora, guarda, di sicuro ci sono dei tablet più economici. Il problema è che io non li ho mai provati, quindi non te lo saprei dire. Cioè non voglio consigliarti una cosa che io non ho mai provato. Quindi è per quello che non ne parlo mai di cose più economiche. Magari potrei anche procurarmene qualcuna e provare a vedere, così posso anche dare un'opinione un pochino più con più cognizione di causa, che sarebbe forse il caso, però appunto non ne ho mai provate io, quindi non saprei dirti, purtroppo. Ho degli amici che hanno per esempio una Huion, non so come pronunciarlo, che mi dicono che in realtà la Huion è molto valida come tavoletta, però di nuovo mi baso sulla loro opinione, non sulla mia. Grazie per il complimento della palette che ho scelto. So the reason why I'm doing the eyes in this kind of orangey, like burnt orange, is because I don't want to do her eyes in blue, because I realized that I think I picked blue for most of the other mermaids. Like, yeah, she's got blue eyes too, and I don't want to just pick blue, every single time, because I think the brown eyes and dark eyes are also very pretty. So there you go. Okay, so now that I have my basic colors, I'm gonna start by giving some detail to the skin. So I'm gonna go back on the skin layer and choose the touch-ups noise brush. I usually just color pick the skin and then choose a more saturated version of the skin, and then just do some of these areas, like the shoulders, for example, the elbows, the areas where there's a little bit more roughness on the skin, usually the blush on the cheek. Vic says that they are impressed with themselves for fully understanding what I just said. Normally you would have a problem with speed, but not today. Well, that's pretty good. I'm usually told that I speak very fast. So, if you manage to understand what I said, well, props to you. Okay, so now that I've got some of the roughness in the skin, I am going to move to the tail. I'm gonna start by creating that kind of texture that I was doing before. So using the dry ink, I'm gonna put the opacity down a little bit and put the size of the brush up a little bit. And I am going to start creating this texture to blend the fin and the tail with the skin. So this is definitely the longest and most boring part of this workflow that I created for this project. As you can see, you have to kind of just go with it with one or two colors to create some nice kind of like color variation. And of course I try to set those colors, like to steep them into the actual kind of like reality of how fish, you know, fish scales would work in a certain environment. Like for example, this fish here, which is the one that I took as reference for this mermaid. So I'm gonna color pick some more colors from here, but I also want to like, so I'm using pink and orange, which are kind of on the same line of colors. They're both warm colors, so I'm just gonna need a cold, like complementary color. So I'm gonna go on harmony and choose the color that is given to me from the complementary section in Procreate, and add that one. As you can see, by choosing a color that is complementary to the orange and pink that I was using before, I'm getting like this nice set off of the whole palette. And also it reminds of the color of the hair, so that's pretty good as well. As you can see, that's the same thing that I did here. Like I used colors that were kind of setting, you know, each other apart. A new question: how do you get the perspective correct when sketching accessories for characters like rings, necklaces, etc.? Well, I guess, and thank you, Deborah, for saying that you love the effect it gives. Nice, thank you. So to draw elements in perspective, you have to understand the... Oh, okay. Vic says that their pronouns are actually her pronouns, she, her. Yeah, I mean, I always use they whenever I'm not sure because I don't want to be offensive. So, but yeah, thank you for, saying that your pronouns are she, her, so that I can use them appropriately. My pronouns are also she, her. So, okay. So I'm quickly getting tipsy from this wine. So in case I start speaking not clearly. Please forgive me. But anyway, so the way that you can draw objects like jewelry or other accessories in perspective is that you have to first understand the perspective of your whole drawing. And like if you understand the perspective and 3D shape of the element that you're drawing, like for example here, so this is not part of the actual drawing, but let's very quickly draw some jewelry for this lady. So for example here, let's draw her a bracelet. So the 3D shape of her wrist and her arm is like a cylinder, right? So her arm is, let's draw it in a different color like this. Maybe not this, maybe this. Okay, green is a color that I haven't used yet. Okay, so the 3D shape of her arm is a cylinder, right? Goes like this. So if you understand that that's the 3D shape of the arm, then if you want to draw a necklace or a bracelet in this case, you just have to draw it in the same perspective, right? So in this case it goes like this, or like a larger bracelet that you might want to draw like this, right? It just follows the same sort of round 3D shape, and here like this is the front and this is the back of the bracelet. Or for example a necklace, same reasoning. It's like another cylinder like this. So if you want to draw a bracelet, an earring, not an earring, if you want to draw a necklace, like a necklace that goes straight around her neck like this, or if you want to draw a necklace that goes around her bosom like this. So it's obviously going down because gravity is pulling it down, but it, she's got the boobs there, so whatever pendant you might have is gonna go like nestle in between her boobs. So yeah, so I guess my point is just figure out the 3D shapes of the actual character, and then you can draw other accessories like around it, wrapping around it or on top of it. I hope that was useful. Okay, let's continue doing the texture. So I'm gonna pick like a different orange now to tie this off. I feel like she looks like a bird of paradise, like some kind of parrot because of the colors. And also I'm gonna choose some colors from the actual skin tone so that it almost looks like it's blending in. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Sarah. Like I get some like carnival vibes here. Also, one thing that I always say whenever you want to draw like female anatomy, like here, if you notice the I mean, obviously she's skinny, you know, she's a skinny lady, but even if you're drawing someone skinny or fit, like someone who works out, I think you still have to add, if it's a female character, I think you still have to add this little bump here. As you can see, like she's going down and tapering down like very smoothly here because she's got like no belly fat basically. But then here you've got a little bit of a bump when it comes to the lower belly, and that's because that's just very typical of the female anatomy to have like a little bump in the lower belly. That's just female biology basically. So if you add that even with a female character that is very skinny, or with a character that works out, or with a character that is quite stylized, I feel like that always has some level of realism to the whole thing basically. Bye, Deborah. It was nice seeing you here, and I hope that you have a very nice evening. So yeah, and I will be here next Sunday again for a new mermaid. So I hope you'll see you there. Right. I feel like I'm almost done with the texture for the actual like tail part that goes on the skin. So I'm just quickly gonna add some more. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that you finished the River Mermaid, Vic. Have you posted it? Or like, do you have like Instagram or social media where we can check it out? Alright, so I'm gonna add some white. Pardon me. I'm probably, I don't know, I can't remember. I don't think I've seen it. Have I reposted it? Have I shared it? Because if I haven't, I probably haven't seen it. Because usually I always share, you know, if you posted something in my challenge, then I probably shared it. No, then I haven't seen it. I will check it out. I will check it out when I finish the stream. Right. So now I'm gonna pixel lock the line art layer so that I can just quickly color in the line art with a color that is kind of similar to the color underneath, but just a little bit darker, so that I keep the line art but just change it slightly. To make it a little less obvious. Like this. I feel like this part of the process is very relaxing, like very calming. It's just a matter of getting all the lines right. Do I always color my line art? No, not always. Usually, either I don't keep a line art, or I keep a very minimal one where I only keep it in between elements of the same kind of color, like of the same kind of shade. So I have to just color those elements, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to recognize what's going on between one element and the other. Or I usually just keep it black or another color, like a more subtle color, but I usually just do this, like coloring the line art in pieces where the line art is very obvious, like a little bit too obvious maybe. Like, for example, in the Princess Tarot deck, I used to color it there. And I am kind of employing the same style that I used in the Princess Tarot deck. So that's why I'm also doing it here, to kind of follow that same workflow, if you know what I mean. If it makes sense. It's just like sometimes you feel like you have to color it because otherwise it would make too much of a contrast. I feel like because you know Vic said that she's backed by the black line art in her own pieces, and I feel like it depends really because there are some people that have a very comic style kind of style and I feel like it's not bad in their pieces when the line art is black, but I also feel like in my own pieces like I often feel like the black is a bit too much, like it's just too obvious. But I think it depends on the style that you have, whether it looks nice or not. Yeah, I mean, I usually use true black just for the line art, just because it's easier, and then maybe I recolor it, or you know, you can just recolor it by filling in when it's pixel locked anyway. The way that I do it usually in my normal style is that I just do some very minimal line art on top of the same color elements, and then just turn that layer into a different blending setting, which is overlay or soft light, and so that black layer will become a color that is more amalgamated with the colors underneath because it's on overlay or soft light. To be even more weird, it doesn't bother me in traditional art, but I can't leave it in digital. Yeah, I don't think it's weird. I think, everybody has their own idiosyncrasies when it comes to their own art, Like, I never know how to do hands. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I practice hands. Whenever I actually do hands, like whenever I actually draw hands in my drawings, in my characters, I always feel like they look awkward. So I have to redo them like a million times. Even though sometimes they probably don't look awkward, it's just me. I'm fixated upon hands, I feel like everybody has their own pet peeves in that regards. So I'm gonna do the end of her hair in a much brighter kind of like blue because of, the sea. They're like the foam of the sea. Oh, sorry, my head was in the way. I have this like really bad habit of really laying on my tablet. I don't know if you guys have it too. Like I always do that. Like I'm always like literally crouched on top of my tablet. I have a terrible posture. I feel like that's probably why I'm constantly having like neck pains and stuff, as like most artists do as well. It's because we all just lay. Oh, yeah, exactly, the shrimp pose. I'm like, okay, I need to open up my chest and do some yoga, whatever. Oh. Also, like, that feeling when you basically just lay down on a piece of paper or a tablet for a million hours, and then you come up and you're like, oh my god, I have a back, I have muscles here, they're like doing stuff. So yeah, I think we need to stretch more and look up from our tablets and walk more. But yeah, let's get back to it. So going back to the line art. Been in art school for 6 months now and still not perfect at drawing hands. Lean a lot when drawing details, especially. Yeah. And also I have that thing where, and I think this is also something that a lot of artists do, whenever I am drawing an expression, I also make that expression with my face. So I'm like, I'm drawing like someone smiling, for example, and then I realize that I'm like making that same smile, but like alone in my room, and I'm like, oh my god, if someone looked at me right now, they would think I'm so weird. And like I tend to do that even when, you know, when there's expressions of people being sad or people being angry, so that's even weirder. But yeah. Yeah, Viking stands for a horse, which whom, I guess, you know, it's a person in a way. Works hard to repair the damage I do to myself by sitting the way I do. Yeah. I mean, any, you know, exercising or physical activity is pretty good when you're an artist, because aside from the physical benefits, it also just helps you move away from the alienation of always working on your own, which I feel very heavily sometimes. It's like I have started going rowing about a year ago, and wow, that's made such a difference, both to my posture and to my social encounters. I do it when I take pictures of someone. I always make the exact same facial expression so they feel alone. Yeah. Yeah, also when someone takes pictures, that's true. Also, how do I change the line color? I have my line layer here, it's layer 32. It's been pixel locked, so I have used 2 fingers to move it to the side, and that pixel locks it. As you can see, it becomes checked, you know, like it's got this checkered kind of texture. So you can color on top of it and it will change color, like here. I've got this red selected, so it will change color, but it doesn't change, it doesn't affect anything else. It doesn't color outside of the pixels that are already colored on the canvas. So that's how I'm doing it. I hope that was clear. Right. Maybe this can be even a little... Cool. I'm glad you like it, Jasmine. This can go a little bit lighter even. I can change the brush here actually. I'm gonna put a medium hard brush, just so that it's a bit bigger. And voila. Also, I'm gonna change here the color slightly, a little lighter as well. I feel like changing the line art really brings the whole kind of like colors together, like the whole painting together sometimes. Right. So I feel like we're almost done. I like the way that it blends in here. Probably gonna just add some more texture. Oh, I've reached the maximum layers. Nice. So I'm gonna go back to my dry ink with lower down opacity. Maybe I'm gonna choose some of this yellow here. Some of this deeper red. Deeper pink. Right. I think I am done with the texture. So I'm just gonna need to do some little bit of shading and lighting, but not too much, because on this lady I didn't do that much. So I'm just putting this layer on multiply to do some of the shading, which I'm doing it in blue. So now it looks very stark, the contrast, because I got this layer on 100%, but I'm actually gonna turn it down a little later on, so it's not gonna be so obvious. Do I prefer YouTube streams to Insta lives? Honestly, the Insta lives are probably a little bit more alive, as in there's a few more people joining, so it's probably a bit more, not interesting, but just lively, I guess. That's because it's much easier for people to join in if they are already on Instagram, and obviously because my following is a lot bigger on Instagram than YouTube, so if I have a live on Instagram, there's more of a chance that people are actually join in. So obviously it's like Instagram is one of those platforms where you can never really take people away from it. Like people don't like to click on links on Instagram, so it's not very, it's not very encouraged by the platform itself. So if you have a live on Instagram, there's definitely going to be more people if you have a following on Instagram than if you have it on YouTube. Like I tell people that I'm gonna have a live on YouTube on my stories, but I don't know how many people click on it really. Well, I know, and then there are not many. I'm not complaining, like I really enjoy the fact that you guys are here, so I am grateful for that, but honestly on Instagram is a little bit more lively. This said, I actually prefer the quality and the fact that you can have the camera in landscape position on YouTube. So in terms of quality and the type of stream that you can do, you can have better quality, a landscape position for the camera. So overall, I think that I actually prefer YouTube, even though it's slightly less populated. Hi, Gustavo. What about you? Sarah, I know that you did some lives on Instagram recently. How did you like them? Yeah, the portrait mode is weird. I kept going out of shot. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like on Instagram is like to being like not too bad, a handful of people joined in. That's good. I'm glad. I actually saw that you went live and I wanted to join in, but it was like either morning or late at night for me. I can't remember, but it was like a moment where I couldn't actually join. That's the issue with having like friends and people that you follow being on different parts of the world and in different timelines, that you want to join like most of the times, but maybe you can't because it's just like not possible, like a little bit inconvenient, or you got something else to do at that specific moment when other people go live. Don't worry. Thank you, Gustavo. That's very nice of you to say. So as you can see now, I'm just turning the opacity down so that it doesn't look so stark in terms of the shading. Yeah, time zones always throw stuff out. Like, it's midday for me right now, so it's perfectly joining. Well, I'm glad that it's good for you to join right now. For example, like if it was midday for me, I would have a problem because usually at midday I have like lunch, or especially if it's a Sunday, I'm probably going to be at my parents' house, or, so for me, midday would be actually quite a bad time to join. But yeah. Oh, Eleonora, that's very nice of you. Grazie. So you were having a Star Wars marathon? At what movie are you? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's like 2, 4 in the morning, you can't join us alive, you know? It's like, that's just ridiculous. Thank you, Eleonora. I am very glad that you think so. Also, Eleonora, since you're Italian, can I ask you, would you prefer me to do some streams or some videos where I just speak Italian? Or do you prefer me speaking in English? Like, is it like a thing? Like, or do you not care, basically? It's fine either way. That would be an interesting thing to know. I was thinking of maybe making a few polls about this. I'm wondering whether I should embrace my Italian speaking side. Vic, is it the ooh that would be cool in terms of the Italian speaking videos? Right, 25%. I think that's a good ratio for the shading. Then I'm gonna make a new layer, but I have to destroy some of these layers. This is fine. Okay. So Eleonora is a professional translator, so of course for her it's not a problem. Nice. So yeah, I feel like it's in Italy is like people don't really speak English, and I've had people in the past saying that they would like me to do some videos in Italian specifically. And the reason why I have never done them before, it's not because I'm like, I don't know, ashamed of being Italian or something. It's just that I literally. So this is an interesting thing that I've read about, and I feel like it's very true as well. People who are bilingual, and I am not bilingual by birth, like I haven't been born in a bilingual family, and I have just spoken Italian for the first part of my life, but then I moved to the United Kingdom for university, and I have lived in the UK for 5 years, and then I moved abroad again. And even though I have been back in Italy for 4 years, I still feel like a lot of my personality was shaped in the UK because I was, fresh out of high school and, going to uni and having a lot of meaningful experiences. So a lot of my personality as an adult, has been shaped by being in England and speaking English. So I have a kind of, before moving to the UK and before going to university, I was a very, very introverted person who was kind of shy, really. and so my personality as this kind of extroverted person who's able to speak in public and, do live streams of me drawing and all of that, that's pretty much something that I have developed later on in life and that I have associated with my English speaking side. So a thing that I've read is that it's quite common for people who are bilingual, who are born in families that are bilingual or who develop bilingualisms later on in life, to have kind of two different personalities. And the reason why I always do this stuff in English is because English is the language that I use to be sociable. And when I'm Italian, and like when I speak Italian, I am much more shy and kind of a little bit awkward. So that's why I never do videos in Italian. But maybe I should, you know, challenge myself. But yeah, Eleonora Riva was at the Risveglio della Forza. Okay. So she was having like a Star Wars marathon, but she had already done the first two trilogies, so pretty good. Well, I mean, to be honest, the third trilogy is, I don't know, it's kind of like, I personally quite liked the first movie and I quite liked the second one, but the third movie in the third trilogy, I was just like, whoa, what's this? Why is this happening? Like, I didn't enjoy it at all. I thought it was a bit crap, honestly. So yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, exactly. I have kind of like a alter ego in English, basically. Gustavo says that he speaks Portuguese and English, so that's pretty good too. And yeah, different languages mean different personalities. For real. That's the real thing. And I feel like the English personality is probably the most extroverted one because it's the one that you use to, I don't know, talk to people who come from different cultures than yours, and so you have to be kind of like more outgoing anyway, like to make friends, I guess. I don't know. But it did happen, like, for me. And now I'm kind of scared of letting it go because I don't really know how to speak to people in Italian. Which is weird because, I mean, that's the language that I speak, you know, every day when I go out of the house, you know, and I just, you know, I go to the shop or whatever, I speak Italian, speak it with my parents, speak it with my friends in Italy, and yet I feel very weird speaking it online. Right, so I'm almost done with the shading and lighting. Yeah, the third trilogy was kind of bad. But, I don't know. I think some of the movies weren't that bad. Like as I said, I think the second movie especially was quite good. Like the Last Jedi. English is the current trade language. It's a bit easier to learn than some Latin languages. So true. Like, English is actually a very easy language. It's kind of easy to pick up and also to master, I feel like. Even though it's got like a million like phrasal verbs, it's still easier than languages like Italian that have like conjugations and you know, gender for any object. I feel like for English people, picking up on having to gender every object is one of the most difficult things because they're just not used to it. Like, everything that is an object is an it, but in Italian obviously you have everything that is either female or male. So, and there's no way that you can know because you just have to learn it like by heart, because it's like, why would a glass, which in Italian is bicchiere, why would bicchiere be male? It doesn't make sense because it's not, you know, it doesn't have genitals, so whatever. And at the same time, you know, you have a chair. Why would a chair be female, which is sedia? Doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. I can see why, like, English-speaking people would have a lot of difficulties and confusion in learning Italian. you can see here from time to time, whenever I try and draw a sign, it doesn't work, and that's because the tip of my Apple Pencil is actually quite worn out and ruined, and it doesn't connect well to the pencil itself. I don't know why, like it always happens from time to time. That's pretty annoying. So you can see I just love making the lighting in the hair, because you can have all these little squares, and like the lighting here must follow the three-dimensional, like the 3D shape of the hair as well, like of the lock of hair. So always make it a little bit rounded. I feel like that always works nicely. They have replacement tips. Sinister Waffle, I love your handle, and also that is very true, but I have already used the replacement tip because I bought this a few years ago, so yeah, I have no more tips. I will have to buy some more tips, and considering it's Apple, it's probably going to be another kidney to buy it. Yeah. I had to buy the 4-pack, was 19 in the US. Really? That's cheap. I don't know, maybe it is that cheap. I have never looked into it, to be honest. I thought, I have finished my basic tips, so now I just have to, stick it out without any tips. Because usually whenever you want to buy something replacement for Apple, it's very expensive. But yeah, if it was only like $19, maybe it's not that expensive. Maybe I can afford it. Although, to be honest, I don't even know if it's the tip, actually. I feel like it's more like if you unscrew it, I feel like it's more to do with the actual inside, like the connection of the Bluetooth of the pen, probably. Because, I don't know, even when I changed the tip, it didn't change that much the problem, So I'm like, maybe it's not so much the tip as, the actual pen is faulty, like the connection with the iPad is faulty. And I've tried to reset the connection with the iPad on the Bluetooth like so many times. Like sometimes I just disconnect the Bluetooth and reconnect it. And to be fair, that works to an extent. Like it does help a little bit to improve the connection for a while, but then it goes back to being kind of shitty. So I don't know, it's just something I've gotten used to. It's annoying, but I just have to basically remake the same sign a few times. Right. So, I feel like it's done almost, right? I mean, what else do we need to do? Just lower the opacity here a little bit, 50%. See if it makes sense with... I think I'm going to draw a shark mermaid for the ocean prompt. That sounds a very good idea. I like that. I was actually thinking of drawing a shark mermaid myself, but then it didn't fit with the rest of the prompt, but that is a very good idea. Right, so does it make sense with this mermaid? I feel like it does. Maybe I need to add just another layer of very hard highlights, like on add, and maybe in blue. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so I've got my latest add layer. And I think it's done. Officially done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I did. I enjoyed drawing this mermaid. I think my favorite detail, aside from the scales kind of like melting into the skin tone, and I actually pretty much really like these areas here with the highlights of the tail, my favorite thing is still the mouth and her little mouth, because it reminds me of Kate Winslet's mouth, and I love Kate Winslet's mouth, so there you go. So yeah, Gustavo says, and the background. Aha! The background is going to be with all the mermaids together. I'm just gonna make a group of this mermaid. Delete. Right. So the background is going to be like this. It's like a bigger kind of print with all the mermaids coming together, so that's gonna be fun, hopefully, to do. And maybe I'm gonna do like a print run or whatever, I'm not sure. But yeah, so for now I am just going to enjoy this mermaid. Chi vince tra le due? Who wins between this one and the previous one? So between this one, hang on, I have this. This one or this one? Ooh, it's hard. It's a hard battle. I think this one is still my favorite. I love the fact that she's a bit more curvy. She looks fun and flirtatious, and I have a thing for flirtatious women, so there you go. But this one is very pretty. Still like her a lot. Does give me like a carnival vibe, so still like her. But yeah, thank you guys for joining so far, and thank you Breen, thank you Leonora, thank you Gustavo, thank you Sarah, thank you Senator Waffle, thank you Vic, and everybody else who joined. It was lovely to have you here. Grazie Lucia, and thank you. So yeah, I will see you guys next Sunday if you want to join in. Titanic e Sirena, un crossover che non sapevamo ancora di volere. Exactly, but you didn't know you needed it, but you needed it. Thank you Manohar. So I will see you all next Sunday if you want to join. I'm gonna be here at the same time, around 10 p.m. to draw the 4th mermaid in the series. And until then, have a good week, basically. Bye, guys. Thank you again. Bye.